What's up, y'all? It's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous back again with another. Oh, yeah, that's right. Now, I know that it's been a while. The last episode dropped about 20 at the end of January. I think it was like the 20th something. I don't know. You can look on the page. You can figure it out. Um, and I've been away for a minute. I've tried to keep people as updated as possible, but it's just been a lot of changes that have been happening. For starters, I am a father. My son was born at the time of recording. He was born about a month ago, and I'm very happy to be a father. I'm also a husband now. Me and my wife got married a little while ago, uh, and bought a house, and all of that alone is just a lot to try to keep up with. And just some other things, some music projects. I've been doing some production, getting back into music production, and just trying to deal with some personal things as well as professional. And one of the things that never left my mind was the show. Uh, to be honest, my first thought was that I was gonna end the show after my partnership with Lincoln TV ended. I thought maybe I would do something else. Uh, Maybe do a podcast with my wife. We still might, there's not ruling it out, but it was just a lot of different things I was toying around with in my head to replace Dangerous Minds once, you know, once I was able to just sit down and like record again. Cause I kind of lost my passion for it. I'm gonna be honest. Like I really enjoy doing the podcast. Um, I really enjoy just being able to speak my mind and comment on things outside of music, outside of writing a song and recording it and putting it out there. Doing it in this medium was really refreshing for me, especially in between projects. Being an artist that's more of an album artist, and that we are currently in a singles era. It was hard for me to try to meet the demand and like comment on every little thing, even though I wanted to. In social media, you know, I can get into that later. I left Twitter. That's something else. I actually want to do an episode about that in itself. So we'll get into that later. But just long story short, social media isn't the best way to comment on certain things at times. Uh, Funny enough, the show started on social media. Uh, I think it was around 2015. I did a long Facebook post, a very negative review of Chris Brown's Royalty album when it came out. And, there were some people that agreed, there were some people that, that disagreed. But I think the overall consensus was they really loved the way I articulated my points. Uh, One person in particular, I want to shout out Kenny Lampkin. He actually put the bug in my ear to do the podcast because he was one of the main people that commented under it and was like, you need to put these thoughts in front of a camera or in a microphone, like to do a podcast. And at the time, podcasting was new, around 2015. It's around. It had been around, but it wasn't something that was as prominent as it is now. So I wasn't 100% sure. I didn't understand why people would want to listen to me talk for 3 hours. Like I'm so used to, I was already hard enough to keep people's attention. It still is to keep people's attention as it is for longer than a few minutes in music. 5 minute songs used to be the norm. Now, you could barely keep people engaged for a minute and a half, 2 minutes in most cases. Um, So, but I thought about it, and I decided to launch the podcast June of 2016. And then over the years, the podcast went through a lot of different changes. Originally, it was supposed to be me and my brothers, but after the first episode, they didn't want to do it. So I took it on by myself, And it went from being an audio podcast to a video podcast. I went from recording on my phone to, you know, using the computer webcam to buying equipment and things like that. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And I think just over time, because it was something that just kind of happened, I thought about it, but I never really took it seriously, let's just say. Um, so it went through all those changes. It went from being a podcast about just any and everything to politics and current events to scrapping the politics altogether, unless it really, really like, had to be talked about, just to, but mainly just sticking with entertainment. Uh, Trying to do the show on Thursdays, trying to do the show on Sundays, and then, eventually just turned into another interview spot. And I am grateful. Shout out to Lincoln TV. Shout out to everybody that I did the interviews with. Uh, Funny enough, not only was I able to give a platform to people who, some people had been doing interviews, but then there was some people that told me this was their first interview, whether it was because it was at the beginning of their career and I was able to give a platform to somebody early on that I didn't get, or it was people that were like behind the scenes that were used to giving interviews or were used to, facilitating and, kind of working as a background player, but never really got asked to tell their story. So for people to tell me that it was dope that I gave them a chance, or that, they felt special because I actually asked them to tell their story, and they're used to other people, or them working with other people to tell their story, which is pretty dope. So I am grateful for that. But I think lost, I lost the plot basically, after a while. Because I think even in the beginning, when I first started doing the show, I didn't want to do interviews. I didn't want to do interviews, and I didn't want to do music reviews. I didn't want to do interviews because everybody does interviews. At the time, when I first did the podcast, it was just like the only real reference I had was like maybe Joe Rogan or like The Breakfast Club. And I didn't really want to do The Breakfast Club. I'm a fan of The Breakfast Club. I didn't want to do The Breakfast Club. Like, what they do is what they do. I wanted to do something different, which is what most podcasts are. So I didn't want to do that. And I didn't want to do music reviews because I didn't want to feel like a hypocrite. I don't know, it feels weird when you do music and you're criticizing other people's music. It's kind of, I don't know, just something about it just felt weird to me. I might do it now because it's still kind of some things that I thought about before that I didn't want to do, that I'm actually a little bit more open to, that I might leave on the table. Like, interviews may not go away altogether, but I just know that this show isn't just going to be interviews anymore. Because I really did enjoy doing the interviews. Because not only was I able to give a platform to other people, like I said, but I got something out of those conversations. Like, it was weird. Like, there was at times where I'd even talk to my wife about it. Like, it was weird how sometimes it felt like I was thinking about something, going through something, and I would literally have an interview with someone, like MOM. I would give a special shout out to her. She was talking, I was just thinking, is it too late to do music? Just on a personal note. And, she's an older woman that is a producer, and it's really feel like she's just hitting her stride, excuse me. And, it's kind of like, she wants to be an example for people to say, hey, it's never too late. And I thought that was dope. Just on a personal level, I got a lot of those interviews too, to keep a long story short. But, I kind of, like I said, I kind of lost the plot. Like, I lost focus on what the show was supposed to be. And in reality, there was really no plan. Even the name Dangerous Minds, that's part of why I changed it. Even that was just kind of pulled up my ass. My name is Vinnie-Dangerous. Dangerous Minds. It just felt like, kind of good symmetry. Problem was, I just picked it and ran with it. You Google it right now, there's like a billion podcasts, TV shows, different forms of media, all say Dangerous Minds. I went from Dangerous Minds podcast to Dangerous Minds YouTube, just trying to differentiate myself, but it became a pain in the ass to try to separate myself from all the other Dangerous Minds, because it really wasn't any really real thought put into it. The show went through so many changes because I didn't really have a clear vision of what it was supposed to be in the first place, other than, I want to get on here and talk my shit. I want to get on here and I want to say, this is how I feel about this as it is happening, not just when I can find the right bars to articulate it and go to the studio, record it, and put it out 5 months after the fact. Don't want to do that. But over time, I just kind of lost the plot. And I said I want to get back to the roots of it, get back to when I was first excited about the show and wanting to just be like, hey, this is a new avenue for me to communicate and connect with people, outside of music. But I want to make sure that it is my thoughts. I want to make sure that it is my opinions and the things that I want to talk about, not just because I'm keeping up with the schedule, not just because this is what's going on right now, so I'm shelving the ideas that I had previously. And I don't want to get caught up in other people putting their hands into the pot when it's supposed to be my recipe. I'm cool with people giving me, advice, or, hey, maybe you could do this. I'm not really the best video editor, as you can tell. So I'm always open for, suggestions on different things, but I need to be solidified in what my vision is going to be if I'm going to keep this show going. So that's why Dangerous Minds had to go. And also, my life, 2022 has just been a year of change. And I felt like I needed to change. I needed this part of my life to change as much as everything else has been changing. So I decided to really buckle down, really put a plan together, really get an idea of what I want 1430 to be. 1430, then we can get into the meaning of that later. If you would like it, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment. I'm gonna try that YouTuber shit. Make sure, we can get into the idea of it, later down the line. But it's basically my brand. And not only the show, but everything else is going to be attached to it as well. So, just to keep a long story short, I've already said that a few times. So you know how this is about to go moving forward. So if this is what you like, make sure that you stick around. This is the new direction. This is the death of Dangerous Minds. This is the beginning of the 1430 podcast. There's been people that's been rocking with me since the beginning. The Baby Boy video that I did still does numbers. It's one of those rare instances where I must have hit the algorithm at the right moment, because it's just been going. I think it's up to almost 11K now in views the last time I looked at it. People still commenting on it. People still talking shit to me about, how do you not get Baby Boy? Why don't you like Baby Boy? You missed the point. Blah, blah, blah. But, so there's been people that's been rocking with me for a long time. I couldn't have gotten the success that I've gotten so far on this show. And even with the changes, with YouTube cracking down on people really hard, they're shadow banning. I got shadow banned a while ago. I can talk about that story later too. And it really affected my views. Even with that change, even with the changes in policies making it a little harder for, videos like mine to get attention, people still been rocking with me. So I really appreciate it. And I hope that even with the change to, what the show is called on the marquee, that you're still going to stick with me even as Dangerous Minds becomes the 1430 podcast. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what topics you want me to talk about, because like I said, I want to keep it my vision, but if it aligns with my vision, we'll do it. And I'll definitely give you a shout out, just like I gave my boy Kenny earlier. I'll give you a shout out and let you know, like, hey, this idea came from you. It jived with what I had envisioned for the show, and we doing it. So, make sure y'all stick around for the journey, because this is not the end. This is only the beginning. Until next time, it's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous, the 1430 show, the 1430 podcast. Much love.